we have a system in tow with folders and masks, we can start doing some basic color blocking for our object. The best place to begin is to be looking at color. It's the first thing our audience is going to see, so it's a natural starting point in the creation of all of our textures. The entire texturing system really should be centered around our understanding of these primary colors that are being used to describe our little character. Naturally, I don't want to use the colors from my masks. These are just really bright, vibrant colors that define how the masks are operating in tandem with each other. But let's spend some time trying to figure out how we can adjust some of these parameters to give us a good starting point. Now, you're going to want to do this for the entire object itself. Anytime there's a change in color, block out that color. Don't worry at this early stage how we're transitioning between all these colors. We just need to define what those colors are going to be. Now, I know that the eye is generally going to be pretty dark. There's going to be a bright red iris on the inside of the eye, so we can adjust that fill layer to be the color that we're after. Now, the skin obviously is going to have a natural dominant role, so we got to choose what color we want our skin. And after looking at some reference, I think I'm going to go with a really nice kind of dark green. There's going to be some highlighting in here that I'll do later on to kind of punch up some of the brightness, but it's going to be pretty dark. In addition, well, what about the nails? What color are the nails? I definitely don't want them to be purple, but I think I'm going to have them be kind of a gray. Somewhere right around in there. Maybe I can even change my mind a little bit. If I change the hue, perhaps I can go into more of a color like that, more of a olive green perhaps. After looking at my reference a little bit more closely, I want to move it back just a touch towards the red to make it more of a tannish, a dark brown versus more of a dark green. Now for the beak itself, I also looked at some reference images, and I think I'll change the fill layer color in here to be something a little bit different as well. Now we have some choices. I can keep it a nice gray. I like the idea of going more into the color world. The value in the hue can be changed a little bit to create a cool, nice brown. Yeah, I'm liking that. Let's take a step back and look at it. Yeah, this is working out pretty well. Now, this white of the shell is really kind of blocking my understanding of how all of these colors are working together. If I go into the shell layer itself, let's make some adjustments in here as well. Let's go in. I'm going to create a folder one more time. Let's mask this folder, and this is going to be an easy mask because we're just going to put basically everything inside the mask itself. Let's see what's in there. Did it work? Yep, everything's white. That's what it's supposed to be when we look at the mask from this pull-down menu. If we go back into the material, now I can add in a fill layer and make some adjustments. Now, what color do I want the shell to be? I'm going to lower its value a little bit. I don't want it to be pure brightness, pure white. I'm going to bring it down some. Let's explore the hue. Yeah, maybe something right around there. A nice light color. And if I'm going to vary it a little bit by having some areas of dark brown and maybe some dark green in there as well. But this is a good place to begin. We now have a complete picture. We can look across the entire mesh and see very directly what areas are reading correctly. I can already see that. I need to go back to my body and make some adjustments to my green. It's just not working. I really like the tan of the shell, and once I continue to add more highlighting into the shell, it's going to start to come to life very quickly. But let's go ahead and change the skin color. Like a traditional painter, we paint with a broad brush stroke for as long as we can. We want to use the system that's in front of us to help us to see the total picture before we go any further. Desaturating that green seems to have made a pretty big impact on my understanding of the color, but it also inspires me to go in and change maybe a little bit on the beak as well. I'm not quite sure if I've nailed it, and I really like this system instead of Substance Painter because it allows me to explore. It allows me to see how these colors are being applied and influencing my understanding of how the system works across the entire thing. This block out of color is an important stage for us inside the texturing of our object. In every sense, it allows us to really kind of understand and consume how this image is going to look from our audience's perspective. Once we have a good understanding of the big picture, then we can take a step in on the details and start looking at how we can maybe pop some of these colors a little bit to create a very different result. I'm I'm going to go back into my skin group here, and I'm going to add in another layer. Let's do it real fast. I'm going to add in another fill layer. You'll find that I like these fill layers. They're pretty fantastic. These fill layers give us the opportunity to art direct after we create the layers. As you saw just a moment ago, I can just click on any fill layer and change the color down here. If I want to go in and tweak something, or if I have an idea at a later time, I'm not limited to what I'm not limited to what the computer is going to give me. I can make changes at any time, which makes it a very flexible system. I'm going to do the same for these little spots. Now, the cool thing about working with these fill layers is that they're also maskable. We have a mask up here at the top that's influencing the total skin group. But this one in here, this is going to be the spots. Let's give it a good name. Let's make a mask. Okay. Now, how do we mask a fill layer? Well, this black mask is a great way of working. We can go in with our paintbrush here. With the mask selected, I'm painting with a value of 1. And now I'm bringing in the color of that mask, or the color of that fill layer, excuse me. Maybe I want it to be a red, or in my case, maybe I want it to be a yellow or something kind of fun. Yeah, something like that. That could be kind of neat. If we go back to the mask and I'm in the paintbrush, I'm painting with a value of white. So I'm exposing that color now. Something like this. I'm not going to do all of them, but just as an idea, you can see where we're going with this. Somewhere right around there. Now, I've made some pretty big mistakes. I've gotten sloppy in certain areas. Luckily for us, when we work with masks, we can always flip the color to black and take away. Black is off, white is on. There we go. And we're able just to kind of start working that information in the model itself. Oops, sometimes it's hard to navigate where we want it to go. But something like that. Yeah. Now, I would naturally continue doing this for the remainder of the spots on the legs. I think I also forgot to include a little bit of symmetry in this. So I may want to turn that on before I go any further. That way I'm doing both sides of the model simultaneously. But with this mask done, I can take a step back and look at it and go, I'm not so sure if that's the color I want. What would be a natural color choice to it? Maybe we make it a little bit more orangey or a little bit more red. What if we did a different shade of green? It allows me to continue to experiment. What if I want it to be kind of a gray? That could be kind of cool too. We have a lot of different choices here. These fill layers, especially when we combine them with the mask, just give us options. I can art direct after. I can go home. I can take a break. I can come back to the texture set at a later time. And often in those moments, we find revisions to our textures that we're going to want to perform. The fill layers with the mask allow us to do it very quickly when we're blocking out color. So paint with a broad brush stroke, and then take one step in and start finding the secondary details like I'm doing with the little armor pieces here to continue to describe how the color is going to influence and impact our understanding of the texture for our turtle.